Hello, I'm Adrian, and I've had a few requests that I look at some Damned stuff, and I'm always happy to oblige. So here is my take on Fan Club, a track taken from their 1977 debut album Damned, Damned, Damned. And I think I'm right in saying that this record was the very first UK punk album. Now, I'm far from being a Damned expert, but I do really love this album. It's a punk classic. We've got some great songs, some great production from Nick Lowe, and some fantastic guitar playing from a man called Brian James. So Brian James, not a household name I don't think, but in my view one of the very best punk guitarists from this era, and in particular I love his playing on this song. We've got some great riffs, some great soloing, so let's take a look. Let me take you through this one riff by riff then. Let's kick off with this fantastic intro riff. And this is all based around an E minor chord, just a simple open position E minor. We're giving that a strum. And then we've got a series of single notes. And that's just 2-0-2-0 on the G string, and then 2-0 on the D. And then we're sliding up into this shape. And this is really part of an F sharp minor bar chord, I think, but I'm only playing the higher strings here. I've got the 4th fret on the D, and then I'm barring across the top 3 strings at the 2nd fret. I'm sliding up to that F sharp note, and then I'm picking the G, and then the F sharp at the 2nd fret on the top string. And then we've got a unison bend. And if you're not sure what a unison bend is, we're bending this B note here, which is the 4th fret on the G string, up to a C sharp. And at the same time we're holding down a C sharp note at the 2nd fret on the B string. And what happens is you get those two notes sounding against one another. And as this B goes up to meet the C sharp that you're holding down on the B string, you get that nice dissonant kind of beating sound happening. So if I put all of that together, that's our intro riff. Moving on to the verse riff. This is another great riff, and this is based around 3 different chord shapes. For this we're up in the 7th position, and I'm thinking a B minor 7 chord at the 7th fret. So I'm barring all the way across at the 7th fret, and I'm also pressing down this F sharp note. This is the 9th fret on the A string. B minor 7. Then we've got an E7. So I'm playing like this. This is a 5th string root E bar chord. To make that an E7, you just need to put your little finger down at the 10th fret on the top string. That makes it an E7. And then we're going to a C sharp minor 7. And this is just like our B minor 7, 2 frets higher. So those are the chord shapes I'm thinking about. The actual riff goes like this. So I'm holding down this B minor 7 shape. I'm just playing the 2 lower strings. And then I'm putting down my little finger to catch this F note. And this is a really nice dissonant sound. This F is actually a flat 5th in relation to the B root. So I'm playing that note twice, then I'm lifting up my little finger to catch this D note. I'm barring across at the 7th fret, just lifting up the little finger, and you can catch that D note at the 7th fret on the 3rd string. Then we've got the E7 chord, playing that with a down up, and then pushing into the C sharp minor 7. sometimes some little variations you can hear on this riff. So instead of, we've got, so playing that flat fifth and then catching the 7th fret on the B before going down to the D. Personally, I found it quite hard to reproduce exactly what's going on the recording with this riff. It's a weird combination of being quite messy but also quite precise in that he's bringing out certain notes at exactly the right time. So I think just have a play around with this, have a play around with which strings you're striking and which notes you're emphasizing, and hope you'll be able to get fairly close to the sound of the record. The chorus riff then, and that's quite straightforward. And this is a nice kind of power chords, Stooges type riff, I think, this one. We're starting with an A power chord, that's just open A string, and then 2nd fret on the D and G. Play that twice, then we've got reaching over for this G note here, 3rd fret on the low E. Then back to the A power chord, and we do that again. Then we've got a C5, a C power chord. This is 3rd fret on the A, 5th fret on the D and the G. 3 times on that, and then we're going to a G. And I'm just playing the 3rd fret on the low E, muting the A string, open D, G, maybe a bit of open B as well. Give that G note a little bit of a pull down and a bend if you want to. You've got a choice with your picking hand. You could play this with a down up kind of pattern, or you could dig in a bit and be a bit more aggressive and do that with all down strokes. I think I prefer the sound of the latter, actually. So in the chorus we're playing that riff 3 times, and then we're playing this B power chord, and that's just 2nd fret on the A, 4th fret on the D and the G. We've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stop. So that's the entire chorus. Now we have a couple of solos or instrumental breaks in this song, and the first solo kicks off by just playing the intro riff exactly as we've had it before. And then we're moving 12 frets higher, or an octave higher, and playing a very similar kind of thing. So just a few little variations in here. I'm barring at the 12th fret across the top 3 or 4 strings. And then I've got this little double stop idea. So this is double stops at the 12th fret on the G and the B. And then the same thing at the 14th fret. And then giving that a bit of a bend, just pulling both of those strings down. And then playing the 12th fret on the G twice. Then I'm sliding up. And this lick is exactly the same as in the intro. In the intro we played it down at the 2nd fret. Here we're 12 frets higher, up at the 14th fret. So sliding up to the 16th fret on the D. And it's really exactly the same as we've had before, but an octave higher. So the second solo starts in exactly the same way. We're playing the intro riff through twice. Then we're playing this riff up at the 12th fret again. Then we're repeating that, but with a slight variation. So So it's just ending slightly differently. I'm sliding up to the 16th fret, but then I'm playing a double stop at the 14th fret on the top two strings, and then I've got another unison bend. So I'm bending the 17th fret on the B, and I'm holding the 14th fret on the top string. Then the solo continues with a series of double stops, and we've got some more unison bends. On the recording, this is quite a murky and messy sounding part of the song. It's a little bit hard to hear exactly what's going on, but here is my best guess as to what's happening. We're starting off with more unison bending, so I'm bending at the 13th fret on the B, and I'm holding down the 10th fret on the high E string. We're just going back and forth between the B and the high E string. We've got 4 bars worth of that kind of thing. And then we've got a series of double stops. Now what I'm hearing on the record is this. So we're starting off with this shape. There's 10 on the B, 13 on the high E. And I'm playing all of these double stops in a kind of 16th note rhythm. So we've got 1 E and a 2 E and a. Then I'm just dropping the 13th fret note down to the 12th fret. Then 10th fret on both the strings. And then I'm putting down the 13th fret on the B string. 2 beats on each of these. Then I've got this, which is 15 on the B, 13 on the high E. Then just moving this shape higher, so I'm moving that up 2 frets, moving it up 2 frets again, and I'm ending with this shape, which is 20th fret on the B and 19 on the high E. So I'll just play all of that double stop section one more time. And that's really about it. I think I've covered all of the riffs. I'm going to leave it to you to piece all of this together. I think listen to the recording and you should be able to hear what riff goes where and how many times you have to play each riff. There's just one more thing I should mention, and that's the ending chord. And the whole song ends, for some reason, on this F sharp chord. And that's just a 5th string root bar chord. So 9 on the A and then 11 on the D, G and B. Let's briefly talk gear then, and in all of the early Damned footage that I've seen, Brian James is using a Gibson SG. Now, I haven't got one of those. I'd like to have one of those, but I haven't got one, so I'm making do with my Les Paul. It's got humbuckers, so we'll give you a vaguely similar kind of sound. From here, I'm going into my pedal board, just using one pedal today, and that is my Rat distortion pedal. From there, I'm going into my Vox AC30 amp. That's it for this video. Enjoy learning to play the song. Now I have, in a very un-punk-like manner, meticulously tabbed this one out. You'll be able to find that up on my Patreon page if you're interested. Thank you for watching. I shall be back next week with something else. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to be doing yet, but hope to see you then. Bye-bye.